Hi, and welcome back to Yoga with Tim. So I want to teach you a little bit about the preparation for advanced back bending. The first thing that you need to know is that your quadriceps and your hip flexors are your keys to getting into deep back bends. If these muscles are really tight, it's really going to prevent you. So I'm going to show you a couple of stretches to help to open them up, and then a safe way to start to approach more advanced back bending. Now, what I'd like to share with you, just be a little vulnerable, is that I have a history of cervical compression in my lower back. Sorry, not cervical, lumbar compression in my lower back. Cervical, that's your neck. A history of lumbar compression from an injury surfing, and then it got compounded from doing back bends in yoga, which when I first started yoga, I didn't realize that if you had an injury and you started to go really deep into yoga poses, it would actually make it worse. I didn't understand that. For some reason, I thought that yoga was just magical and doing deeper yoga should just heal your body. But that's not the way stretching works. In fact, the deeper you go, the more at risk you are to get injured. So if you have any type of lower back compression, then I'm gonna really encourage you to be moving out of back bends and getting more into creating space for the spine. If your back is healthy, you're all good, you haven't messed yourself up yet, that's cool, but take this as a warning and kind of to educate yourself early on so that you won't end up with these same problems that many yoga practitioners end up with. I've been at the yoga thing for a while. Most of my teacher friends have lower back issues from jamming themselves, and most yoga teachers that I know have been teaching for 10, 20 plus years aren't really emphasizing these really deep things that you see on the Instagrams, on the YouTube. These are usually newer teachers that don't really understand how bad yoga could be for your body if it's not done safely and appropriately. So, without further ado, let's get into some of these stretches. So what I want to show you first is this little King Arthur variation. Now, this is assuming that you've already got this low lunge down. You can low lunge and reach back for your foot, no problem. So for me, I don't really feel that much stretch when I do this one, and I need to take it a little deeper. So first place, you just have to be able to do this. If you can do this really well and you don't feel much stretch, then you can go for this next one at the wall. And this really is gonna show me if your quads are ready for being introduced into advanced back bending. So I'm gonna take my knee all the way up against the wall, and then I'm gonna bring my foot out in front. And I'll hold here for phase one. So what I want to do is grow from my hip down into my knee, down into the floor. I stretch from the front of my hip and from the top of the buttocks down into the knee. And then I start to let the pelvis melt forward towards the right heel. Let the heart open. And it's almost like I'm trying to reach the top of the knee down into the ground. Grow the hip down to the top of the knee into the ground as I start to stretch my heart forward from my navel up. So this is variation one. Then for variation two, you'll draw your buttocks back towards the wall. And then you'll see if you can start to gradually upright yourself. But what will want to happen is instead of the quads and the hip flexor stretching, your lower back will hinge really easily to get yourself upright. So notice how I'm really patient. And part of the lower back situation that I have going on is because I get really tight hip flexors. So I'm really patient to make sure, because of all the sitting that I do, that I can really feel the stretch coming into my hip flexor as opposed to hinging in my lumbar spine. I keep the lumbar spine tall as if I'm trying to create buoyancy through it as I start to upright myself. Now you might be able to come all the way up, even put your back against the wall, go to where you feel your edge and be there and breathe. Okay, now slowly release that, and let's do it on the other side before we try the back bend. So also I'd recommend that you're pretty warmed up for this sequence. In fact, I would do a 30-minute flow or something from the channel first before you try this. Let's see, got the knee against the wall, hands on the inside of the foot, left foot forward. And let's go into the quad stretch here. From the front of the hip, or at least down to the knee, buttocks down towards the knee. And then I'm just going to start to let the pelvis melt forward. Stretch from the navel up towards the heart. And then from here, once you feel like gotten pretty deep into that stretch, feel like you've melted some of the tension there, we'll start to bring the hips back towards that heel and then see if you can start to upright yourself. So remember, we're getting space through the lower back by releasing the buttocks towards the back of the knee. Lift up through the front of the pelvis, and make sure that in your lower back, you're not feeling the back of the disc, the back of the vertebra sink onto each other. It's like there's space. If I could get my hands in there, I'd lift your back ribs up off your butt as you start to upright the pelvis, then the heart, then the head. And again, I'm not very flexible in this one. Many of you guys might be able to go all the way back against the wall. That's cool. Okay, slowly from there, release that one. And now I want to show you the preparation for Ustrasana. So this one can be really easily done. You can go super deep if you hinge from your lower back, and I see it all the time, and it's pretty dangerous on your lower back to be hinging like that. So instead, what I'm going to show you at the wall is trying to get the back bend to move up the back. So it's like I coil the energy of the spine, and I'm going to try to roll my heart up towards the ceiling. And almost like if there was a bar in my upper back, that I'm like lying over so I can get more thoracic extension. But instead of sinking, I keep pulling my heart up. So it's the same thing that you try to do like when you do cobra pose or upward facing dog. Now I'm gonna roll the outer thighs towards each other, move the buttocks towards the backs of the knees, roll the back bend up into my heart. And then from there, I wanna see if I can maybe bring my hands onto them blocks. Okay, now I lost the movement in the spine. Let's see if I can bring the hips back towards the wall. Roll the heart open again. And feel that the front of the legs open right where we're stretching at the wall. And then firm the buttocks. Press into your shins, come back up, and sit back onto your heels. And we'll do a little stretch for the arms. Raise the arms up, lift from your back ribs up off your butt, and release. Twist to your right, twist to your left. Okay, so that's a great little sequence to start to prepare your body for advanced back bending. You might feel like after that you're ready to do some Urdhva Dhanurasana or deeper stuff, and cool, go for it. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, if you found some of the information useful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on the notifications so you don't miss any future videos, and also leave a comment below if you have any questions or you found anything insightful, or if you just want to say hi. Have a great week. And also one last thing, we did this series in the conscious movement community video. I'll put a link below, and we went to some camels in there, so recommend checking that out. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.